All right, good morning again, everybody. Russ is back with another one. So I figure this morning I'm going to do a news reading for once. I'm going to read the news because, you know, got to branch out. I don't know what the heck I should read about. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to read stuff about Israel. Oh, my. Yeah, Russ does an Israel news reading. Okay, New York Times. Live updates. Um, okay, we updated our terms. I don't care about that. Okay, live updates. Hamas releases 3 more Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. The hostage handovers appeared to go relatively smoothly, unlike the previous one, which descended into chaos. Okay, Khan Yunis, Gaza. The hostage, Ofer Calderon, was escorted by Hamas fighters before being handed over to the Red Cross. Israelis cheered as news of the release of the Israeli-American hostage Keith Siegel appeared on a screen in a central square. Okay, hugs and cheers as Palestinian prisoners are released. Hamas fighters escorted Yarden Bibas, an Israeli hostage, before handing him over to a Red Cross team in Gaza on Saturday. The family of Ofer Calderon cheered in their living room as they watched the first footage of him being handed over to the Red Cross. Masked Hamas militants brought Keith Siegel, the Israeli-American hostage, out of a vehicle before marching him across the stage in Gaza City. Watching the hostage release on a screen in a central square, a Red Cross convoy carrying 2 Israeli hostages. Okay. All right, what to know about the latest hostage and prisoner releases? Hamas released 3 more hostages, and Israel freed a group of Palestinian prisoners on Saturday as part of an ongoing ceasefire deal, in a quick process that was a stark contrast to a chaotic and drawn-out transfer earlier this week. Hamas released Yarden Bibas, 35, and Ofer Calderon, 54, at a highly performative ceremony in Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip, and then Keith Siegel, 65, an American Israeli, in a separate ceremony in Gaza City. The freed hostages were expected to head to hospitals in Israel, where they were to be reunited with their families and receive medical care after 15 months in captivity. Israelis watched live broadcasts of the releases from what has become known as Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, cheering as the 3 were handed over. Relatives expressed relief and joy mixed with sadness that their loved ones had spent so much time in captivity. This moment came 484 days too late. Ifat Calderon, Mr. Calderon's cousin, said in an interview with Cannes News, but it has finally happened. Israel was releasing about 180 Palestinians from custody, according to the Palestinian Prisoners Commission. Buses containing freed Palestinian prisoners reached the West Bank city of Ramallah, according to video from the scene where a crowd of people greeted them. The exchange was the 4th in a multi-phase ceasefire deal that Israel and Hamas agreed to last month. Under the deal, Hamas pledged to free at least 33 of the 97 remaining hostages over the first 6 weeks in exchange for more than 1,500 Palestinians jailed by Israel. On Thursday, Hamas freed 3 Israelis and 5 Thais in exchange for more than 100 Palestinians. But the armed group struggled to control crowds of people trying to catch a glimpse of the hostages, angering Israel and delaying a prisoner release. Hamas tightly controlled both hostage releases on Saturday at the 2 handover sites. Hamas fighters carrying rifles cleared out a wide area around the hostages. Only a small crowd could be seen at the margins. The 2 exchanges took a few minutes each. Here's what else to know. Rafah crossing. The first group of Gazans was expected to leave on Saturday through the border with Egypt. The crossing is reopening to allow sick and wounded Palestinians to leave. A stipulation of the ceasefire deal, Israel committed to allowing up to 50 sick and wounded Palestinian fighters to leave through Rafah per day, in addition to Palestinian women and children who need medical care. A national trauma. For many Israelis, the abduction of Mr. Bibas and his family has become emblematic of the cruelty of the Hamas-led October 2023 attack. Militants also abducted his wife, Shiri Bibas, and their 2 children, Ariel, who was 4, and Kafir, who was 9 months old, but their fates are not clear. Gaza war. The 3 hostages released on Saturday had been abducted during the October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel, when Hamas and its allies killed roughly 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and took about 250 hostage, according to the Israeli authorities. Setting off the war in Gaza, Israel's subsequent military campaign against Hamas in Gaza has killed more than 45,000 people, according to local health officials. Ofer Calderon has reunited with his children at Sheba Hospital just outside of Tel Aviv, according to the Israeli government. 2 of his children survived captivity in Gaza and were freed in the November 2023 ceasefire. In video distributed by the Israeli government, they can be seen weeping and laughing as they embrace for the first time in over a year. Okay, Calderon later met his brother for the first time since his abduction. I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, he repeated as they embraced, according to Israeli government video. I'm not going anywhere. The Israeli Prison Authority said in a statement that all 183 Palestinian prisoners slated for release on Saturday have been freed, appearing to conclude the 4th hostage for prisoners swap between Israel and Hamas. Many were released to Gaza and others returned to the Israeli-occupied West Bank. A large crowd was gathered in Ramallah and the occupied West Bank to meet the latest prisoners being released. Previous rounds of prisoner releases had faced various delays, but this one has gone quickly. Okay, buses containing freed Palestinian prisoners have reached the West Bank city of Ramallah, according to footage from the scene. Israel is releasing the detainees in exchange for the 3 hostages fired by Hamas in Gaza on Saturday. About 79 hostages now remain in Gaza, 35 of whom are presumed dead. According to the Israeli authorities, more than 250 were abducted during the Hamas-led attack on October 7, 2023. A previous week-long truce in November 2023 saw 105 freed in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Relatives of Israeli-American hostage Keith Siegel gathered in their home in Petah Tikva to follow the news of his release. Okay, here's a closer look at the 3 hostages who were released on Saturday. The family of Ofer Calderon in Israel celebrating his release on Saturday. Hamas released 3 more hostages on Saturday as part of its ceasefire deal with Israel, in a quick process that was a stark contrast to a chaotic handover earlier this week. The hostage release is part of a 42-day ceasefire deal that went into effect last month, pausing the fighting between Israel and Hamas. Hamas agreed to incrementally release 33 of the nearly 100 remaining hostages in exchange for more than 1,000 Palestinians jailed by Israel and a partial Israeli withdrawal. Here's a closer look at the Israelis released on Saturday. Okay, Yarden Bibas. For many Israelis, the abduction of Mr. Bibas and his family has become emblematic of the cruelty of the 2023 Hamas-led attack on Israel. Militants also abducted his wife, Shiri, and their 2 children, Ariel, 4, and Kafir, who was 9 months old at the time, from their home in Kibbutz near Oz. Hamas later said Ms. Bibas and the 2 children had been killed in an Israeli airstrike. Israeli officials have not publicly confirmed the claim, but have warned that they are gravely concerned for their fates. A video of Ms. Bibas being marched through the kibbutz by a Hamas militant with her 2 children on October 7th, 2023 captured her terror. They were imprisoned separately from Mr. Bibas. In November 2023, Hamas posted a video showing him being told that they had died in captivity. The Bibas family has struggled with not knowing whether their loved ones are alive. The last time any of them received proof of life from Mr. Bibas was when images that showed him bleeding from the head circulated online. Aubrey Bibas Livy, Mr. Bibas' sister, who has been advocating a ceasefire and hostage deal, said she was grateful for the attention of the news media and world leaders, but the haunting images of Shiri and her children have turned them into symbols of the crisis and generated a degree of public fascination about their fate that was sometimes rattling, she said. People attach their names to any news story that pops up, even if it is made up, she said at a gathering of relatives of hostages near the residence of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and Jerusalem to renew calls for an urgent deal to bring them home. And every time that happens, it shakes our whole world. Okay, well, I guess I'm done with it, or done with this now, because the rest is just more. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to read the rest of it. So that's it for me this morning, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye. Huh.